The role of the Police and Crime Commissioner primarily is to connect people with their policing priorities. And I've heard over most of the 2 years I've been here of public discontent with the 101 system. So with my team, amongst other things that we're doing, we've needed to put the system right. And now I've commissioned a review. The review has reported, and we have some clear actions out of that.
I know the 101 subject has been something you've talked about a lot over your period as Police and Crime Commissioner and with the Chief Constable. What was the Chief Constable's initial reaction a while ago when you talked about 101 with him?
Well, I think that because the police were measuring the wrong thing, there was an element of feeling that customer satisfaction in this area was adequate, but that was wrong. And now I believe that the Chief Constable has seen that the metrics, that the way the police were measuring the performance was wrong, and clearly the public needed a higher quality service.
What has been the main findings out of the report? You call it an unacceptable service at the moment. Why is that?
Well, primarily, and we must take a practical view on this, primarily if people ring the non-emergency service, they want to communicate with the police. They may not have an enormous amount of time, but they have a message to deliver, which is either a piece of intelligence, something has happened and we feel you should know about it, or it's a request for action. The problem has been that it's taken far too long. Half the calls greater than 10 minutes, 20% of the calls greater than 20 minutes. And my understanding from the public, and I'm with the public all the time, is the public will not put up with that time waiting on hold to talk to the police. Because once they're through, they may have quite a short message to deliver, and they're busy people, or there's a sense of urgency, and so people have become disillusioned with this service, and we've got to put that right.
And brought into even sharper focus recently with the closure of some front office desks at police stations across Devon and Cornwall.
Yes, very much so. The front office closures, regretfully, because nobody wants to cut policing services, but the reality, and I've spoken to many people about this, is that the front offices were simply not being used. You could take a view that the front offices not being used is a completely separate subject from 101, but it's very reasonable to understand that the public, including me, feel that if you're going to reduce the interaction with those in the front offices, then you must have a system, an alternative system that works. Part of that is an engagement plan in each of the areas between the police and the public to say the face-to-face time with the police is now in other ways, but there is an understandable expectation that 101, and indeed the blue telephones outside police stations, should connect you with the police very quickly. And as we move forward in technology, we're going to have to look at different ways as well. People with smartphones will want to be able to lift them and talk direct to the police. But the 101 system must work better.
So you've described it as unacceptable as where it is at the moment. How are you going to make it better? How are you going to work with the Chief Constable and say to him, we need big improvements and we need them quickly?
Well, the Chief Constable has had an opportunity to comment on the review, and he's made some technical changes to the review, but in broad terms he accepts the findings. So that in itself is significant progress. Now, I have asked, and this is part of the essential nature of the Police and Crime Commissioner role, I've asked the Chief Constable to give me an action plan to put the system on a better footing, one that is acceptable to the public. So we have an action plan. We haven't seen the results of that yet. We have to look at the affordability of the actions that we're asking for in line with all the budgetary pressures that we face at the moment. But we will then do again, as the Police and Crime Commissioner's team are doing, is to look at a new measurement of customer satisfaction. Why should we not measure this just like Tesco's or any other supermarket or whatever? If you need to get through to the police, you should be able to do it in rapid time, and we will put a new performance measure in place. The police have taken some action already anticipating this and recruited extra people into the call centres, and that's to be welcomed, and I'm confident that we will begin to see a difference probably as the new year opens.
The bottom line with this is it's about how quickly calls are dealt with by the appropriate person. You've got to cost that out, you've got to balance resources, but very, very quickly you're going to be demanding a major improvement with those call times and the standard of service, which is pretty good, but you want to maintain that.
Yes.
And the level of service.
Yes, absolutely right. And I would emphasise that this is not about the call handlers themselves, because they are trying very hard with a system that doesn't really support the modern needs of a call centre. There are technical things that we can put right as part of the action plan. But we need to keep this simple. And the simple thing is that members of the public looking to their police for support need to be able to give their messages into somebody who is listening and somebody who will take action and feedback to them in a much shorter time than is taking at the moment.
And finally, Tony Hogg, in a sentence or two, your message to the public watching, listening to this now about the 101 service and where it's heading.
You, the public, asked me to come in and improve the efficiency of policing. This is just one area where we are absolutely determined to improve the service. So it's one of many areas where I'm trying to give the public back the service that they wanted and expected from their police and crime commissioner.